Hey guys, happy Wednesday. This is going to be a short lesson today on in our social studies on gaining Florida. It's not as long or intense as the past ones have been. Um, you will have a Google form to fill out at the end of this that can be found with this lesson in Google Classroom, just like we've been doing for the past week. So I'm just gonna get right to this. I also have attached Google Docs with notes from this for you that you can go back and um, I'm sorry, it's been a long day, guys. That you can go back and use as often as you need to refer to it to complete the Google quiz. But I'm just gonna go ahead and get right into this. So Spain lost another one of its colonies, Florida, not to independence but to the United States. Many Americans wanted to gain possession of Florida. This is a big, big thing. White Southerners were especially worried about disturbances across the border. Creeks and Seminoles in Florida sometimes raided settlements in Georgia. Also, Florida was a refuge for many Africans and African Americans who escaped slavery. Okay, so Southerners are really getting frustrated. All right, so now Jackson invades Spanish Florida. So, since the 1700s, Spanish officials had protected enslaved Africans who had fled from plantations in Georgia and South Carolina. Seminoles allowed Africans to live near their villages, and in return, these black Seminoles gave the Seminoles a share of the crops they raised. The black Seminoles adopted many Seminole customs. So basically, the Spanish allowed escaped slaves to be protected in Florida. The Seminole Native American tribe kind of took them in and allowed them to live near the village. But because they were allowing them to do this, they were also expecting them to share their crops. Okay? And so, since the African Americans then are living so closely with the Native American Seminole tribe, they adopt many of their customs. Um, so one settlement on, I'm not even going to try to attempt to say that river name because you guys know I will butcher it. But one settlement was Negro Fort. It contained 1,000 black Seminoles. General Andrew Jackson demanded that Spain demolish the fort, and when the Spanish governor refused, the United States invaded Florida and destroyed the fort. So here you can see in this corner here a picture of the Negro fort. You can see that it's got, it looks kind of like farmland, right? You see cows, it looks like horses, probably areas for crops to be built. So President Monroe then sends General Jackson down to demand that this fort be demolished, and the Spanish refused. So, because of that, the United States invaded Florida and they destroyed the Negro fort. All right, so Adams buys Florida. So, in 1818, Jackson again headed to Florida. So, General Jackson, Andrew Jackson, heads to Florida with a force of more than 3,000 soldiers. Spain protested but did little else. It was busy fighting rebels in Latin America and could not risk war with the United States. So think back to yesterday's discussion about Latin America and their revolutions and their fighting and war with Spain. So during then this time, as General Jackson is going down with their soldiers, Spain is protesting, but it's not willing to fight or go to war with the United States because they were dealing with so much in Latin America. So, in the end, Spain agreed to peace talks, and Secretary of State at that time was John Quincy Adams, and he worked out a treaty with Spain's Foreign Minister Louis de Onís, and in it, Spain agreed to give Florida to the United States in exchange for $5 million. And this became known as the Adams-Onís Treaty, which took effect in 1821. So here, Secretary of State John Quincy Adams goes down, meets with Spanish Foreign Minister O'Neill. Spain agrees to give up Florida for $5 million. The United States gets Florida for $5 million, and then Florida becomes part of the United States. This picture here shows General Andrew Jackson with other United States Army officers. Jackson led the U.S. troops into Florida in 1816 and then again in 1818. I do want to show you guys a quick YouTube video going over this. Oh, sorry, let me get out of here. You know me and technology. It's my best friend. It's just a short 2-minute video. It's not crash course history, so it's nothing. I'm sure you guys were ready to kill me after yesterday's assignment. But it was a good assignment. You had to watch it. So I can already hear you complaining to me, but get over it. And let me pull this up.
By 1803, the United States shared much of the continent of North America with Spain. The first permanent settlement in what would become the United States was established by Spain in 1565. That was St. Augustine in Florida. And today, St. Augustine is the oldest city in the United States. But it took a while for it to become a part of the United States. Here's the story. As you can see from this map, Florida was actually two provinces, West Florida and East Florida. The United States and Spain had an ongoing disagreement over the boundary of West Florida. East Florida, though, clearly belonged to the Spanish, and it became a refuge for runaway slaves, pirates, and especially Seminole Indians who raided and threatened settlements in Georgia. In 1817, President James Monroe sent General Andrew Jackson to Florida to stop the Seminole raids. Jackson was told he could cross the border into Florida, but should not attack any Spanish forts. Jackson had another idea. He sent Monroe a letter saying that if the president wanted, he, Jackson, could take all of East Florida in 60 days. The president didn't answer, so Jackson marched into Florida, deposed the Spanish governor, and installed one of his officers in his place. To settle the matter, President Monroe gave the Spanish two choices. They could either do a better job of patrolling Florida and assure that there would be no more raids across the border, or they could give Florida to the United States. And that's what they did. In 1819, a treaty was signed in Washington. East Florida went to the United States, and Spain gave up all its claims to West Florida. Florida, the Sunshine State, joined the Union in 1845.
All right. So that takes care of that. Let me get out of here now. You know me. Now I can't figure out how to get out of here. Oh, there we go. Okay. I also, I'm hoping to see you guys on our weekly class meeting, which is Wednesday. So if you're watching this before 2 o'clock, I will see you at 2. If it's after 2, I've already hopefully talked to you guys and seen you. But I have a couple things I want to go over. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about the Monroe Doctrine, which is a very, very, very big deal. So that will be tomorrow's lesson. I am also going to be looking at trying to see if we can use Kahoot as an assessment tool to check, that you're understanding these lessons I'm giving you instead of using forms all the time, because I'm getting kind of bored with it. And I'm sure you guys are too, using Google Forms. Not that they're bad, but I just kind of want to mix it up for you guys a little bit. So I'll be playing around with that. We can talk more about that later today at 2 when we meet as a class. So right now, go back to Google Classroom, complete that Google quiz for me, send it to me. Can't wait to see you guys during our meeting. If you have any questions, please email me. You guys know I'm here to help. I miss you. Be good. Stay healthy. Have a great day, guys.